there, everyone. This is Dr. Gwen, and I welcome you back to Moms from Striving to Thriving. This is the training you wish you had years ago as you had your babies. And maybe you are at that very stage right now where this is the perfect timing, but it is never too late to get these tips and these ideas to help you in your parenting. Because after all, even if they're older teenagers, there are still some strategies that you can use to help to direct and to guide your parental journey. So I am very thrilled to be back here with you. And this day we are going into part three, helping your kids develop competence. And we saw that competence was one of those things that a child needs in order to cooperate and to avoid the disciplinary issues. So that competence results in responsibility. And what I want to reveal to you now are three objectives. The first one is to have a simple system that is going to help you to teach your kids responsibility. And the thing here, moms, that I want you to know is that perfection is not what we're aiming at all. When I was raising my kids, there were some days when they were younger and they couldn't help with anything that my house was a disaster. So it's not about perfection. It's about taking small daily steps every day to help you on your journey. Now, the second objective is to identify a very simple system that's going to help you to get started, and it's really simple, trust me. And the third one is to help you to develop some ways to help you to hold your kids accountable without you having to really be such a huge part of it. So this part three today is about competence, which is developing responsibility. Now, the first piece is discipline, and we're talking about what is acceptable communal behavior. And when we're talking about responsibility, we are actually talking about them being responsible for themselves, them being responsible outside of the home, in the community, with whatever communal groups they find themselves. There's certain behaviors and certain activities that may be quite okay at home, but when you are out of the home, certain things wouldn't be acceptable. For example, the boys may want to walk around without their shirts at home. That may be acceptable, and in certain public places that may not be acceptable. But remember, your kids don't learn these things on their own, and so as a mom, it's important for you to teach them. And it's not that you're going to take up extra time sitting down and teaching them. As you do your daily activities, you can turn those into instructional moments. So maybe you may be going down the street, for example, and you see a topless man looking half naked, and instead of criticizing and saying bad stuff, use that as a teachable moment for your kids. There are tons of teachable moments that you will find as a parent as you're out and about with your kids. So one of those is teaching them acceptable communal behaviors. And we're not going to go into details with all of these. There's just one of these topics that I will be going into some amount of detail with you today, because of course this is a short tip and a short video. The next one is handling their finances. You don't want them to burn through their money. So it's really important for you to show them as they get their allowances. And in the last list here, there is one example that I'm going to be sharing with you that it's very important for you to keep in mind as you teach them financial responsibility. You may give them allowances, and we'll look at one example of how you can do that. And setting up a little budget with them and helping them spend their money and holding them accountable for their finances. So when you do give them the allowances and you tell them this is what you need to use it for, and have them have their particular choices of what they're going to use other parts of it for, burn through that and they come to you for money, you have to be able to use those teachable moments to let them know the money ran out. So here, I can loan you this amount of money at a certain percentage interest. And when you get your allowance, you pay it back. And you have them see you taking it off. That is pretty painful. And that sends an indelible lesson to their mind about burning money. A lot of the financial issues that people get themselves in today are simply because they didn't know how to take care of those responsibilities. Hygiene and basic cleanliness is another responsibility the kids need to learn. And you don't teach this just by modeling sometimes. As they grow up and they become teenagers, they may become a little uncaring or a little less attentive to putting on a deodorant or something like that, and then brushing their teeth. So these are things that you teach them growing up so that when they get to that age, it becomes just a really natural part of what they do. And then finally, the responsibility around the home, what I call the chores. And this is the piece that I really want to show you. Here's what I call the responsibility chart that I developed with my kids. And what I did was I wrote on this chart those things that I wanted my kids to learn, those that I thought were important for them to take up as responsibility. Your list may look differently. However, you write the list down and you put each kid's name above the block. And then inside of each of those days, you're either going to put a check mark or stickers. They love bright stickers, the little kids. Or if you're going to assign an allowance, this is an excellent place to assign it. And what I used to do is offer a certain amount of cents for each day's activity. I wanted to total it up for the whole 2 weeks of before I got paid to see just how much allowance I would be giving for that 2 week period or for the month, and then I divided by the days, and that told me how many cents or how many dollars the kids would be getting for every day of activity that they do. So as they complete the chart, have them be the one to check it off. Have them be the one to put the pennies and the dollars and the cents on the line, and then have them do the totaling. There are a couple things that they're learning here. Number one, they're learning responsibility. And what you can do is also help them to add up the dollar amount, and they're learning their daily math as well. So it's very simple for you to have them be the one being accountable while you watch at a distance. You watch at a distance. And there are certain other things to do. If this is a great idea, I've got other tips coming up for you tomorrow that will help you to expand this a little more. So you write in each block whatever the cents are, or you can have the older kids be accountable for the younger ones, and that will help you in your accountability. So if you have bigger kids, have them supervise the younger kids, and you will just overlook everything just to make sure that everyone is on track. So if you pass by the chart, which I kept on my refrigerator, and you see a check mark that the floor was swept today, and you notice the floor was messy, make a note, and I will tell you how you can address that tomorrow with another resource. The hygiene is really basic cleanliness. So this is how you can have the other kids helping the other ones to be more responsible, to overlook the chores that they're doing so you don't have to be involved. So this was a brief lesson, but I want to summarize for you. Creating a system, however imperfect, to teach responsibility. You don't have to be perfect, Mom. And actually, all of these things, when you put them in place, will lessen your responsibility. Believe me, it feels so much lighter when every kid is finally following through on what they need to. It takes some work up front, and you must not let one day go by with it slacking off, even though you may be bone tired and you probably don't want to say a word today. You're so tired you can't breathe. I know how it feels, but you just must either empower your older kids to help you to do that, or just make a note so that you address it, and definitely tie those consequences or allowances in with whatever you say is going to happen. And you must teach your kids responsibility. They don't happen to know these things by osmosis. And unfortunately, even though we may be doing some of the things around the home, they quite don't pick it up. Sometimes it takes us mentioning it or saying it. Teach them how to ask for support. Teach them how to ask for help. Teach them what to say and do when they're out and about in public, so that they're not rejected by other people, because rejection is a horrible thing. And while at the same time you want them to be themselves, they must be their own selves. They can't be doing anybody else. However, in the midst of being themselves, they also should learn the responsibility of respecting the communal atmosphere. And then hold your kids accountable by helping them help you to hold them accountable. And how did we say you do that? You have your older kids, if you do have them in the home, overseeing the younger one as you oversee everyone. Or if you don't have any older kids, of course, teach your kids to check the chart every day for themselves. However, it may be a little tiring to start for you. When you see them miss it, say something like immediately. Don't let it go by, because you're creating a habit. And when a new habit is being created, the minute you see it, you have to address it. And so you keep doing that every day, and eventually that will become routine and you will be able to back off. And my, oh my, your life, your home will take on a completely new turn, because you don't have to be actively running every single day behind people, telling them what to do and having them do stuff that's empowering for your home and your environment. So there is a free download. I have made this list available for you, the responsibility chart, and by signing your name into the box and clicking, you will be able to download you'll be able to download a summary or a sample chart, and also a chart that you can now begin to copy and use for yourself. So tomorrow we will be looking at the big reveal, and I hope to see you then.